there was a leak in the history of the GTA 6 plot development. This truly fascinating story was shared with us by insider Frivolous, who previously worked at Rockstar Games itself. All the data from this video was described in one way or another by reputable journalists from PC Gamer, IGN, Rockstar Mag, and of course Bloomberg, and even Jason Schreier himself, who have connections with insiders inside Rockstar Games itself. Today will be very interesting, because as it became known, GTA 6 was supposed to be a completely different game, and Jason and Lucia simply should not have existed according to the original idea of Rockstar Games. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Make yourself comfortable. Be sure to like this video. It is very difficult to search for all this information and double-check the sources, and it takes a huge amount of time. Therefore, I would be very grateful if you would support the video with your asset and help it break through the algorithms of YouTube. Thank you very much in advance for your like and subscribe. So, as we learned from the latest financial report from Rockstar and Take-Two, GTA 6 entered the stage of active production only in 2020. Before 2020, there was complete chaos inside Rockstar Games, which I will try to analyze in detail today and compile a complete chronology of events for you so that you understand how we got CAS, the final version of GTA 6, and the story about Jason and Lucia, which is inspired by the story of Bonnie and Clyde. GTA 6 had the codename Project America's Inside Rockstar Games. Information about the development of the concept of this project goes back as far as November 2013. However, full-fledged work on the project began only in September 2014, as most of the Rockstar Games teams had been busy developing the concept and plot of Red Dead Redemption 2 up to that point. Thus, the development of concepts and ideas for GTA 6 began only in 2014, and that's when we learn about the first version of the script, which was leaked by an insider. A team of screenwriters led by Dan Houser was developing a noir-inspired crime thriller with three main characters. The first character was supposed to be an elderly, principled police officer from Vice City, who gradually plunged into the criminal world, trying to save his son, who was trapped in drugs. The second character in the story is just the son of a policeman. Cuban is an American, a deeply religious drug addict who is trying to get rid of addiction and break out of the drug trade. And the third character is the right-hand man of a Colombian drug lord who is involved in importing drugs into the United States through Vice City. His goal is to create his own empire in North America. This version was developed until the end of 2016 for 2 whole years. It was the main story campaign for the future GTA 6, but it was completely canceled by the decision of Take-Two Interactive because it was considered too gloomy and did not meet the company's expectations. There is an assumption that Dan Houser wanted to show the dirty underside of Miami and make something like GTA 4, but with 3 characters and switch mechanics from GTA 5. That is, we were supposed to have a game with a thick atmosphere of hopelessness in the sunny and neon city of dreams, which looks amazing, but in fact it is a gloomy and rather rotten place that perverts even the best people with the sakane, best intentions. Presumably, Take-Two was not thrilled with the ideas that Dan Houser was trying to promote. I still have fresh memories of the criticism of the GTA 4 story campaign for being too gloomy and serious after the very fun, and even in a sense trash, GTA San Andreas. The contrast was too great, and many criticized the 4 for being too serious. And of course, Take-Two didn't want to take any chances with GTA 6 because it was supposed to be the company's biggest and most ambitious project. They needed something safe, catchy, but safe. Something that would not have caused such a negative reaction after GTA 5 and its resounding success. After abandoning this scenario, the first restart followed. The basic elements, the map, the mechanics, the ideas remained, but the scenario changed. It was then that the first idea appeared to create only 2, not 3 main characters. The first character was supposed to be a policewoman, the daughter of a murdered Vice City officer who seeks personal revenge. She is trying to infiltrate the criminal world, acting in parallel with her official police service. The second hero of this story is a small-time drug courier, crazy in the spirit of Trevor from GTA 5, because in his 2 stories, there were as many as 3 characters who are somehow connected with the Miami police. The first 2 GTA 6 stories were supposed to be about the past, the 90s, and maybe even the 80s. meaning Dan Houser wanted to roll out a dark story about the Neon 80s, but the second story and the second script were rejected by Take-Two Interactive itself. This script was developed over the course of 18 years. It was cancelled in the middle of 18 months, which really hurt Dan Houser, and he just couldn't stand the blow. The second relaunch of the GTA 6 story campaign took all the ideas from the second scenario, but instead of a policewoman, we had an African-American, former military man who just got out of prison, Doptane, and found himself back in the criminal environment. A kind of Lincoln Clay from Mafia 3 and Vic Vance from GTA Vice City Stories. This script was cancelled in March 2019. It was after this that Dan Houser, one of the founders of Rockstar Games, leaves the company after 3 rejections of scripts that were created by his team. Dan Houser went on sabbatical in March 2019. Emotionally and physically exhausted, he temporarily left the post of vice president for creative component of Rockstar Games, which he had held since 1998, and the final departure took place on February 4, 2020. Take-Two has officially announced the departure of one of the Houser brothers. For a second, one of the founders of Rockstar Games. After a long vacation that began in the spring of 2019, Dan Houser is leaving the company. His last working day is March 11, 2020. We are grateful to him for his contribution to the creation of one of the most successful and recognized game universes. In February 2021, Dan founded Absurd Ventures, an independent company whose goal is to develop interactive storytelling beyond corporate pressure with greater creative freedom. The interesting thing here is that Dan's new company is focusing on the fact that they are trying to make games and projects outside of corporate pressure, and it seems that Dan Houser simply could not find a common language with Strauss Zelnick, and because of this, he had to leave the company. This is just a theory, there is no confirmation. Neither Rockstar Games nor Take-Two nor Strauss Zelnick nor Dan Houser have ever announced the reason why this happened, but if you think about it, most likely Dan Houser wanted to make a completely creative game about the Miami crime story of the 80s and maybe the 90s. These are the times when Miami, it was a neon city of passion, love drugs, and all this tin plate and total mayhem. But after seeing the success of GTA Online, most likely Strauss Zelnick, maybe just the management of Take-Two Interactive told us that. As it were, I like to make money from GTA Online updates. And how will we add new content to the game about the 80s and 90s? Because it's impossible to add any new Tesla, a new super hypercar, and you'll have to work harder, and it's unlikely to be as popular as GTA Online. Look at the success of Red Dead Redemption Online because of the Red Dead setting. Redemption is very difficult to develop the multiplayer of this game itself, and they simply scored and decided to move on. As a result, Red Dead Online is simply stagnating and there is no new content, although the potential was huge. And perhaps because Dan Houser wanted to make a dark story about the past, and Take-Two Interactive wanted to make another bright, rich, fun GTA like GTA 5 about the present, that's where they disagreed, and Dan founded his own studio and left Rockstar Games, which is why he emphasizes that they are now striving to create projects without pressure from the corporate management elite. And so all those guys in jackets, that is, maximum creativity and just the freedom of fantasy flight, what he lacked in those years at Rockstar Games. The most unpleasant thing about this whole story is that Rockstar Games employees learned about Dan's decision to leave the company from the same press release as you and me. That is, no one inside the company was ready for this. For many, his departure was a heavy blow. He was a symbol of the studio's identity. It was officially announced that the creative leadership will now be fully carried out only with M. Houser. And as we can see from his recent photo on social media, the development of GTA 6 has had a huge impact on his health. He just looks like an old grandfather. Taking out all the stress of developing the most ambitious and expensive game in history alone is much more difficult than doing it all together, brother. Dan Houser, on the other hand, is living a happy life now, eating burgers, and not getting old at all. He's just happy. He does what he likes. Well, now I want to voice my personal opinion. And actually, I believe this insider of this whole leak, because Fravilis is quite an interesting person, and Tom Henderson even noticed him, and he is one of the most respected gaming insiders in the entire gaming industry. And it's worth a lot. Most likely, Tom Henderson knows something about Fravilis, something that we don't know personally, since even he paid attention to it. And this whole story is very logical. Dan Houser is a very creative person. He is a writer, and it is not surprising that he could not find a language with the shark of business in the person of Strauss Zelnick. They just had a conflict of interest. And this is the most common situation in the gaming industry when creative people cannot find a common language with people who give money to develop video games. And in fact, one can perfectly understand Strauss Zelnick as well. He wants the game to be successful, and not as risky as it might seem at first glance to all GTA fans. And with all due respect, but I still really love Noir Dark games, so I like the merged plots of GTA 6. I think they had a great prospect. It was possible to make a wonderful game out of it, but I have to admit that with such dark and heavy games, it's much more difficult to build a money-making company for decades to come. What is the strength of GTA 5? It is the most humane and non-coercive game. That is, this is such a summer action movie that you can go through with a buzz and safely roll into GTA Online. Dan Houser wanted to bet on the story campaign. Unfortunately, according to the residual principle, Go and Do GTA Online did not like Take-Two Interactive, which sees the opportunity to earn all the money in the world through GTA Online 2 Cur, or through GTA 6 Online. I don't know what it will be called. Therefore, they needed a calm human game. And that's where I'd like to hear your opinion in the comments. What do you personally think? Which scenario do you like the most? With 3 heroes? With 2 heroes? Where is one female cop? Or the second plot, where one of the characters is an African-American military man? Or you just like the final result of the story about Jason and Lucia, which is inspired by Bonnie and Clyde? Personally, I think GTA 6 will not be a game with big problems in terms of the story campaign. Everything looks so promising. The company just had certain problems with Rockstar Games itself. The development time of this game. This is absolutely normal. A lot of concepts, a lot of ideas, but all this is still faced with the departure of one of the founders of Rockstar Games. And at the same time, chaos during the COVID era, the restructuring of the company. Because of this, the development of GTA 6 stalled a lot at first, but it seems to be moving smoothly right now. Thanks to the recent postponement, we have confidence that the game should be released in May 2026, and I can't wait for the release of the most ambitious and expensive video game in history. I'm sure that Rockstar Games will not lose face, and with all due respect to Dan Houser, but I hope that you understand that he was not the only one who wrote scripts for all GTA. He was there, and there was a whole team of people who continue to work for Rockstar Games. He was just the head of the department that was developing the story campaign. Right now, this task is being shifted to Sam Houser, his brother, and he's kind of handling it all. I can judge from the first and second GTA 6 trailers and the hefty Rockstar Games website, which contains as many as 70 official screenshots of the game. I think the Jason and Lucia storyline is the perfect middle ground. The balance between fun, Neon City, and a cool crime story. But that's just my opinion. Write your opinion in the comments on which GTA 6 story you like the most, and what do you personally think will happen to the story in Part 6 of GTA. It will still be one of the best plots, or the departure of Dan Houser. It will have a negative impact on the entire history of the 6th part of GTA.